I'm Amy Shearer Title. Welcome to the Vintage Space. Vintage Space was conceived as a blog in 2010. At the time, I had just finished my master's degree, and I looked to a blog to help me transition from academic writing to popular science writing. Vintage Space originally was meant to have two meanings. The first was vintage things in space, namely Apollo-era programs and little-known facts. The second was a space for vintage things, because in addition to spaceflight of the Apollo era and everything that came around it, I love mid-century Americana and technology and culture and style. That secondary meaning dropped by the wayside pretty quickly, but after 9 years, I think it's time that I expand Vintage Space back into what it was originally intended to be. Government mind control programs, spy cats, atomic tourism, space themes on everything from dresses to dishware. All of these things add texture to this incredible era that allowed us to take on the most audacious of all goals, going to the moon. And there's so many elements of that I want to explore. Particularly with the release of my new book, Fighting for Space. There are a ton of stories in here that didn't make it into the book, and I really want to be able to share this stuff with you guys. Some of it's spaceflight, some of it's aviation, and some of it's only related to space and aviation because of the people involved. So Vintage Space has become the Vintage Space. I promise you there will still be a lot of spaceflight history because I love it, but we're also going to explore other things of the same era. Think of it as just adding historical texture to this fascinating era. At the end of the day, I'm an historian, and I always say that history is nothing without context.